What are some of the firsts on the list?
So we have the first female president of Slovenia. She's a former journalist who rose to political prominence. We have a similar story over in Morocco, the first female mayor of the city of Rabat. This was incredible to me. I think in the United States, we are used to seeing university presidents of all genders, but we still see these headlines when it says so and so becomes first female president of Harvard, first Black female president of Princeton. I'm making some of this up, but it's, insert university name here. Just last year, we saw at the Sorbonne in France their first female president. And again, we see these headlines a lot. So on one hand, it didn't seem all that remarkable until you look at the year in which the Sorbonne was founded, which is 1257. So for truly hundreds of years, there had not been a woman at the head of that institution. And now there is, which is remarkable. Remarkable both for the accomplishment, but also my question is, what took so long?
I think that's a good question. And you cover women in business. What do you think that we're still seeing these first headlines in 2023?
I mean, like anything else, progress is slow, change is slow. So I think if you talk to anyone on the 50 over 50, and I did see this with the North American list, some of the venture capitalists, Teresa Gao was one of our call outs on the North American list. I asked her the progress question because she invests in tech companies. Tech is still an industry where we see women underrepresented at the highest levels of founder and also C-suite. And as someone who's younger than 50, I'm frustrated by the progress. I see the stats year over year and it feels like it's not changing very much. But Teresa takes a longer view and she looks at 20, 30 years ago. And she said to me, well, actually, when you look back and compare where we were then to where we are now, huge strides have been made. It just doesn't feel like it's leaps and bounds on a day-to-day level, which I appreciated that optimistic outlook because I think, again, with the pandemic, with women dropping out of the workforce or being pushed out of the workforce because of caregiving responsibilities or economic difficulties, it's helpful to hear the reframing as actually just take a breath, look at where we were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and you will see the progress that way.
Maggie, Forbes, as you know, does a ton of lists, but I especially find the 50 over 50 the most inspiring because there's nothing like seeing someone, totally change course and live the life they want for themselves. So what do you think about this list specifically resonates with people?
I think it's what you just said. I mean, as I scroll through this list and I see people who we've talked about the first, we see some folks who were working in the public sector in government and then decide to make the leap to entrepreneurship or make the leap to venture. We see women as the board chairs for some of the most powerful companies in the world. We have the chair of Air France KLM, and she's in her 70s. So I think when you're younger, and Mika, our partner in this, talks about this all the time, you think you're rushed. You think at 20, at 30, I have to get it all done. I have to become the CEO or start the company before I'm 35 or before I'm 30 because I want to make the 30 under 30, which is a very noble goal. But I think what the women on this list tell us is it's okay if life happens in stages. It's okay if success comes later. And indeed, it can come later. And you don't have to cram everything in the first 30 years of your life.
And are there any themes aside from that you're seeing on this list specifically that these women are carrying throughout their careers?
One theme I noticed in looking at this list is we do have a lot of board chairs within the continent of Europe. I think women have proven very successful at breaking through those barriers, and I would like to see that more here in the US and also in other regions around the world, including Asia. Beyond that, there is a mission that unites a lot of these women. I see as I look at their professional work, often it's mentioned, they're investing in at the angel level or starting nonprofits or impact funds to invest in women, to lift other women up. There is this sense of purpose that unites a lot of them, which is good to see because then it increases the flywheel of female entrepreneurs. If you have an entrepreneur who's over 50, who has made money through founding a company like Denise Coates founded with Bet365 and is a billionaire, and you have someone like that who's giving back in some way, that money gets invested in the next generation of entrepreneurs. And then if they grow their companies, they can make the 50 over 50 in another 20 or 30 years.
Maggie, when we talked about the 50 over 50 Asia list, you wrapped up that list by using one word, and that word was perseverance. Now I want to hear from you about the Europe, Middle East, and Africa list. What's the one word that encapsulates this list?
I mean, I think perseverance does apply to these women. I would never want to imply that none of them are persistent or anything like that. But for whatever reason, the word coming to my mind today is determination. I think everyone has been determined in their career growth, in how they're investing in the next generation, and in how they're changing the world.
Maggie McGrath, thank you so much.